you said, ain't that what you said, ain't that what you said. It's a GMO Tuesday special report, and I think we caught Monsanto lying. They're liars. They're liars. They're liars, ladies and gentlemen. Reuters reporting, I believe it was Thursday. Hang on one second here. I'll pull the article back up. On Friday, it was reported by Reuters that they have found GMO wheat in Alberta, Canada. Alberta, Canada. Now, I want everybody to stop and think for a minute, because there's some serious questions we need to be asking here. This is kind of like the FBI thing. We'll tell you about it when we want to. Let me see if I can find the sentence here. Wheat containing a genetically modified trait developed by Monsanto Company to tolerate the Roundup weed killer was discovered last summer in Canada. Now, I want to ask everybody here, why are we just hearing about it this year? The article's dated June 14th, 2018, and we're hearing about it a year later. Why? How much contaminated wheat is in the food supply, ladies and gentlemen? What is in our food supply? Furthermore, if you guys have been following me, you know there's been scuttlebutt. I've been reporting for over 2 years now that there's scuttlebutt. They're spraying the crops with Roundup. They're spraying the wheat crops with glyphosate. And we get told, oh, it's been classified as an antibiotic because it kills bacteria. And oh, we're just using it in the harvesting process. It's a frickin' poison. They're not using it in the harvesting process. If we're finding GMO wheat 62 miles from a test site at the side of the road, how did it get there? From the wheat field that's on the other side of the fence, perhaps? Whom do your elected officials represent, ladies and gentlemen? That is how this happened. Monsanto and Company et al., and I don't care what any of the bozos on the Discus platform say. I don't care what any of the paid shills, the commentators, whatever you want to call them, I don't care what they say. Use a little common sense. They tested wheat in 98 to 2000. All of a sudden, we had perfectly planted rows of fields of wheat in Oregon show up out of nowhere. The farmers swore up and down they didn't plant them. In Washington, in Montana, now Canada. Are they really doing the harvest process, or are they poisoning the wheat? How has anybody seen a huge spike in the anti-gluten crap? I'm 60 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to, if you're my age or you're anywhere near it, go back 30 years. Go back into the 80s. We don't have to go back into the 60s when gluten was unheard of, because it is actually a necessity in your body when it's not poisoned. Think about what we're hearing in our health care these days. I'm in the Midwest, ladies and gentlemen. And there is so much exposure here, it is unbelievable. And I see people, they have waiting lines for the hospitals around here. The hospitals are turning people away. People cannot get health care because the premiums are $1,700 to $2,500 a month. Think about that. The healthcare system that everybody was supposed to have and mandated that you have it or we're going to fine you, blah, 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 blah. It's a failed delivery system because it was set up to implode on itself. So, in my humble opinion, the government could come in, take over, make you feel good because they're doing something for you while they're robbing you. Could be wrong, I don't know. Could be wrong. But I have a serious question. How much contaminated wheat is in our food supply right now? You'll remember there was a scare about the wheat in Oregon, Washington, and Montana. Japan immediately said, no, we don't want your wheat. we don't want your wheat. Korea, we don't want your wheat. North Korea, people that are starving to death don't want the poison. That's something for everybody. All these people in the United States and Canada, our regulatory agencies have been purchased. And if you're going to be stupid enough to ignore that, go eat the poison. But please don't force it on me. Don't force it on those of us that don't want the poison. Don't force it on the people who are ill and want to get well. There's a huge push right now, ladies and gentlemen. A huge push. And I don't know if you're seeing it in other parts of the country and maybe other parts of the world, but people are starting to get away from the doctor and the pharmaceutical industry. They want to go more natural, more organic, more herbal remedies. And here's something to think about. If you've ever been to a Chinese herbal doctor or a Chinese shop, an acupuncture guy, he's going to have about, I don't know, 1,800, maybe 2,500 jars on a shelf, all lined up. He's going to have his little mortise and pestle all ready to go to make you a concoction, because all those herbs are for medicinal purposes. All those plants out there, all those plants. Just like the plant where I am right now. I'm at one of the projects I'm working on here in the Midwest. Today we're eradicating poison sumac, oak, and ivy. No, this is not how I do it in this outfit. I just supervise and stand away. That's what happens when you get to be the boss sometimes. Anyways, every plant is here for a purpose. It has a purpose. Even one like stinging nettle has a medicinal property. There's been a spike in what they call naturopaths, homeopath doctors being executed under the guise of suicide. Questionable circumstances, some law enforcement are saying. But there's a big, huge move on this. And I want everybody to think about who's dominating the agriculture industry right now. It is chemical companies who dominates the doctor and American Medical Association. It's the pharmaceutical industry, the chemical industry. For people, and to condone some of the activity that's going on in the GMO world that call themselves unbiased, like, I got to pick on Nick again, No Ideas Media, until I find something different. I'm sorry, that's an industry shell site. But kid's a decent guy. He's not a bad dude. Doing what he thinks is right. That's all good. He ain't, doing a lot of stuff's misleading. You have to be, when you look at a site like Genetic Literacy Project, and they trash somebody with a PhD, who, by the way, had been practicing medicine for 20 years before the GMOs came along, and they all of a sudden saw all this weird stuff change with the food that got introduced into our food supply, courtesy Dan, I can't spell potato, quail. Yeah, you read it on the teleprompter, all right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Taylor gave us the policy substantially equivalent and allowed. That was green-lighted Michael Taylor before he went to the USDA and the FDA and all this stuff, before he bounced around all our regulatory agencies. He was Monsanto's attorney. Just like Clarence Thomas was, and doesn't recuse himself from Monsanto cases. I guess it pays to be in the Knights of Malta. I don't know, because that to me comes into play quite a bit here. Canadian government officials have not identified the variety of wheat they discovered and said it is not present in the country's grain or seed supply. But yet they took a year to notify us of this. Why? Why? They can go test this stuff in 72 hours. They could have had all their bins checked. They could have checked everything in the fields. They could have checked it, and informed us a long time ago. Where is last year's wheat crop from Canada? That's one of their number one exporting products. Where's all that wheat? Who's making bread with it? Who's making flour tortillas with it? Does anybody know? But yet, lying sack of crap Barack Obama told us our food was going to have country of origin labeling, didn't he? That was one of the premises he got elected on, wasn't it? Democrats, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Unbelievable. Can you, I don't believe it sometimes. It's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, 62 miles. Let's put it in perspective. On June 14th, Reuters reports Canada finds a GMO wheat that DNA's back to Monsanto. They tell us this a year after the discovery. It's not supposed to be in circulation. It was found 62 miles from a site they tested in 98 to 2000. Hello? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they find it in Oregon, Montana, Washington. It's not supposed to be there. Why is it there? How is it there? Who put it there? The farmers don't know how it got there. It just mysteriously grew in perfect rows in their field. Excuse me? Excuse me. Who sold the farmer the seed? Oh, oops. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. Use a little common sense. This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. It boils down to this. Whom do your elected officials represent? And if they're not looking out for your best interest, and obviously they're not, because they're allowing this time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, they're not looking out for you, the voter, you, the taxpayer, you, the person paying their salary. They are looking to line their pockets. It's called pecuniary greed. It's at the highest levels of government. It's everywhere. It's in academia. They polluted our education system and the science departments. They have polluted and muddied the waters so bad that judges are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, you can't do this. It's starting to catch up to them. That said, ladies and gentlemen, I've been plugged into the Monsanto trial coming up next month. I will be doing reports on that Monsanto trial and keeping everybody updated. Of course, this is the trial. The farmer handled massive amounts of thing. He came up with cancer, and oh, by the way, the cancer tested the cancer, whatever's in them, tested for glyphosate. That's how they tied it together. So all this correlation is not causation, is about poppycock to come out of the walls. It's not true, ladies and gentlemen, because if you can correlate a use of something to an illness or an ailment, I'm sorry, that's what caused the ailment. They were feeding the pigs the stuff. The pigs got weird. They stopped feeding the pigs the GMO food and gave them good food. The pigs got well. Pigs, I want you to think about that. Pigs are what they make parts for us. They'll make ears on the pig. They'll use pig valves to put in us. That is one of the closest. Are we pigs? But it affects the pigs. Think about that for just a minute. They use pigs in all kinds of medical applications to get parts for human beings, but yet when the pig eats the GMO food, they get weird. They get kittywampus, they get belly up. How many people do you know have a problem eating bread now? I want you to think about that. How many people have developed a problem? How many of you ate bread when you were in school back in the... We all had sandwiches. And now people can't eat the bread. Why? Why? GMO wheat since '98 in the field and we don't know about it and we've been lied to? Have we been lied to? That's the question of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Have we been lied to? I believe we have. And I can say this, whom do your elected officials represent? Because they're representing the liars, not the truth seekers. That's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for everybody to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, whoa. How are you going to vote on this issue? Are you going to give us what we need? Maxine Waters hasn't done it. Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, none of these people have done it. Paul Ryan, none of them. Clara McCaskill, none of them have looked out for we the people. None. They're all living fat on our tax dollar. Isn't it time to put our tax dollar to good use? Isn't it time to hold our elected officials accountable? Whom do your elected officials represent, ladies and gentlemen? I got to get out of here. Tune in tomorrow for Weekend Wrap. We have got some unbelievable developments going on in the property preservation industry. MSI, it appears, are stealing. MCS, illegal back charging, stealing. That's RICO violations, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about that on Weekend Wrap tomorrow. If you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the station. It always helps. It always helps. That's how it works. You subscribe, sooner or later they start monetizing things, and I can make a little money having fun. I hope. You never know. If you can make a donation and help out, keep the lights on. Website right on the right-hand column. And don't forget, Hidden Valley Wild Horse Protection Fund, GMO Tuesday, always brought to you by Foothill Feed and Mercantile in the Reno area, Lake Tahoe Markets, and Preservation Thursday. Foreclosurepedia.org, ladies and gentlemen. Foreclosurepedia.org. Up to the minute fraud reporting. We published MSI internal emails talking about how they're going to cheat somebody out of money. We published them. We published them. Let's have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Hope your weekend is going fantastic. As you can see, Aladay Mobile Media is on location. Project number 2. We're going to be working, getting out some of the bad plants. You guys have a great day, and let's all be safe out there.